Alright, Shalom. Let me continue this document. Where did I leave off at? Article 26. Indigenous people in involuntary isolation or initial contact, the states shall adopt adequate policies and measures with the knowledge and participation of indigenous people and organizations to recognize, respect, and protect the land, territories, environment, and cultures of these people, as well as their life and individual and collective integrity. Article 28, protections of cultural heritage and intellectual property. 1. Indigenous people have the right to full recognition and respect for their property, ownership, possession, control, development, and protection of their tangible and intangible cultural heritage and intellectual property, including its collective nature, transmitted through millennia from generation to generation. States shall consult and cooperate in good faith with the indigenous people concerned through their own representative institutions in order to obtain their free and informed consent prior to the approval of any project affecting their lands or territories and other resources, particularly in connection with the development, utilization, or exploitation of mineral, water, or other resources. Indigenous people have the right to effective measures to mitigate adverse ecological, economic, social, culture, or spiritual impact for the implementation of development projects that affect their rights. Indigenous people who have been deprived of their own means of substance and development have the right to restitution and, where this is not possible, to fair and equitable compensation. This includes the right to compensation for any caused to them by the implementation of state, international financial institutions, or private business plans, programs, or projects. Article 30. Right to peace, security, and protection. 1. Indigenous people have the right to peace, security, give it time, peace and security. Indigenous people have the right to recognition and respect for their institutions, for the maintenance of their organization and control of its communities and people. Indigenous people have the right to protection and security in situations or period of internal or international armed conflict pursuant to the international humanitarian law. 4. States in compliance with international agreements to which they are party, in compliance with international agreement to which they are. States in compliance with international agreements to which they are party, in compliance with international agreements to which they are party, in particular international human law and international human rights laws, including the Fourth Geneva Convention of 1949, relative to the protection of civilians, persons in time of war, and Protocol 2 of 1977, relating to the protection of victims of non-international armed conflicts in the event that armed conflicts shall take adequate measures to protect the human rights institution, lands, territories, and resources of the indigenous people and their communities. Likewise states, A, shall not recruit indigenous children and adolescents into the armed forces under any circumstances. B, shall take measure of effective reparation and provide adequate resources for the same, in jointly with the indigenous people affected for damage incurred caused by armed conflict. C, shall take special and effective measure in collaboration with indigenous people to guarantee that indigenous women, children live free from all forms of violence, especially sexual violence, and shall guarantee the right to access to justice, protection, and effective reparation for damages incurred to the victims. Military activities shall not take place in the lands or territories of indigenous people unless justified by relevant public interest or otherwise freely agreed with or requested by indigenous people concerned. Article 31. The states shall ensure that full enjoyment of civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights of indigenous people, as well as their rights to maintain their cultural identity, spiritual and religious traditions, worldview, values, and the protection of their religious and cultural sites, and human rights contained in this declaration. Article 32. All the rights and freedoms recognized in this present declaration are guaranteed equally to indigenous women and men. Article 33. Indigenous people and persons have the right to effective and appropriate remedies, including prompt judicial remedies, for the reparation of all violations of their collective and individual rights. The states, with full and effective participation of indigenous people, shall provide the necessary mechanisms for the exercise of this right. Article 35. Nothing in this declaration may be interpreted so as to limit, restrict, or deny human rights in any way, or so as to authorize any action that is not in keeping with international human rights laws. Original 13th Amendment, Section 12. The trafficking in slaves with Africa is hereby forever prohibited on the pain of death and forfeiture of all rights of the property of persons engaged therein, and the declarations of Africa shall not be citizens. I said, I am not a citizen of the United States corporation called America Minor, nor can be. United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, 1948, all rights reserved. Article 1. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with a reason and conscience and should act towards one another in the spirit of brotherhood. Article 2. Everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration, without distinction of any kind, such as race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status. Furthermore, no distinction shall be made on the basis of the political jurisdiction or international status of the country or territory to which a person belongs, whether it be independent, trust, non-self-governing, or under the other limitations of sovereignty. Article 4. No one shall be held in slavery or servitude. Slavery and slave trade shall be prohibited in all their forms. Article 5. No one shall be subjected to torture or to cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment. Article 17. Everyone has the right to own property alone as well as in association with others. No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his property. Article 19. Everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontier. Article 20. Everyone has the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association. 2. No one may be compelled to belong to an association. Bouvier's Law Dictionary, Volume 2, Revised 6th edition, 1856. Law. When applied to objects, it is civil, criminal, and penal. Deprivation of rights under the color of law. Section 242 of the Title 18 makes it a crime for a person acting under color of law. Let me do it again. Section 242 of the Title 18 makes it a crime for a person acting under color of any law to willfully deprive a person of a right or privilege protected by the constitutional laws of the United States. For the purpose of Section 242, acts under color of law includes acts not only done by federal, state, or local officials within their lawful authority, but also acts done beyond the bounds of that official lawful authority. If the acts are done while the official is purporting to be or pretending to act in the performance of his or her official duty, persons acting under the color of law enforcement officials, as well as judges, care providers in public health facilities, and others who are acting as public officials, it is not necessary that the crime be motivated by animus towards race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, and national origin of the victim. The offense is punishable by a range of imprisonment up to a life term or death or the death penalty, depending upon the circumstances of the crime and the resulting injury, if any. Title 18 U.S.C. Section 242. Whoever under the color of any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom willfully subjects any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunities secured or protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 1 year or both, and if bodily injury results from the act committed in violation of this section or Such acts include the use, attempted use, or threatened use of a dangerous weapon, explosive, or fire shall be fined under this title and imprisoned not more than 10 years or both. If death results from the act committed in the violation of this section, or if such acts include kidnapping or attempt to kidnap, aggravated sexual assault, abuse, or attempt to commit aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempted to kill, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for a term of years or for life or both, or may be sentenced to death. Okay, move on to the next video.